There are new concerns. The administration is sending mixed messages on Iran amid reports that Iranian warships are moving in position now off the southern coast of Yemen. That deployment coming only days after the U.S. announced it would send its own warships to the same waters. Republican Senator Ben Sasse out of Nebraska, member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee. And Senator, good morning and welcome to America's Newsroom. Thank you for coming back here. There's a report we got from the White House by way of the Pentagon 45 minutes ago. Our reporter there, Peter Ducey, is suggesting that the Iranian warships are on the move again. This time it appears to the northeast, which might suggest they're moving out of the waters that they went to 24 hours ago about. Do you have anything on that, and what could you add?
Yeah, we're just hearing similar reports right now and haven't been able to confirm details, so can't clarify that. But it does point to the larger point about how strange it is to try to constantly silo these conversations of the Iranian nuclear deal from the fact that Iran is the world's largest state sponsor of terror, and they're trying to destabilize at least 5 of their neighbors at the present time. Nebraskans look at this and they say, what is going on in Washington, D.C., where you pretend you can trust the Iranians on a nuke negotiation when at the same time they're trying to foment discord and instability across their whole region.
Yeah. React to this. The Iranian news agency said the purpose of these warships will protect Iran's cargo ships and Iran's oil tankers against pirates. Now, piracy has been known to happen in that part of the world for several years. But when you hear Tehran say that, what do you think?
Yeah, the idea that Tehran is on the side of the rule of law is laughable to anybody who's following the situation. There are 2 big, broad bundles of bad guys in the Middle East. You have Sunni jihadists that are non-state actors trying to do things like we see ISIL doing, taking over northwestern Iraq and eastern Syria at the present, and that's horrific. But the long-term threat in the region comes from an Iran that's funding Shia militias that destabilize all of their regions. Iran's purposes are nefarious in the region, and Americans get that. And surprisingly, Washington, D.C. is so delusional it can talk itself into a situation where it wants to advance a ridiculously short-sighted move toward allowing Iran to become a nuclear threshold state. It just doesn't make sense.
While you're talking, Senator, we have screen left here, the press briefing room there at the White House, where the president's going to make a comment about these counterterrorism operations that took place back in January, some 4 months ago. Perhaps there's a comment about Iran when it happens. React to the Fox News polling that came out last night. Here's the first one. We asked whether or not on this nuclear deal, is the president too soft or striking the right balance? A clear majority, 51%, say he's being too soft. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've been traveling my state of Nebraska, and the kinds of questions Nebraskans ask are, do we trust Iran? And over the course of the last 36 years, there has been bipartisan consensus in this country. Republicans and Democrats since the Carter administration have all agreed that we cannot have a nuclear-armed Iran. The Obama administration is unique in 4 decades of American history in thinking you can trust them and that it would be okay for them to have uranium enrichment capabilities. And what you have in your poll is exactly what I experience in Nebraska. There's nobody who thinks the president is taking a tough enough stance in my state.
Here's another one. Is the U.S. negotiating the nuclear deal with Iran, is it the right thing to do or the wrong thing? 50% say it's the wrong thing to do. People in Nebraska say, what about that?
You know, Iran has about 19,000 centrifuges trying to enrich uranium right now. The Obama administration started by saying they were going to get them down to 1,000. Now they're talking about 6,000. When you ask people in Nebraska, how many centrifuges should Iran have to enrich nuclear material? The answer is 0. Republicans and Democrats are united on this in real America. Only in Washington, D.C. is a deal this bad have any momentum.
Why then, explain this, is the administration pursuing it with such vigor?
I think it's really hard to understand what presidents sometimes do when they're in legacy mode. But we should be clear. The Iranians mean the world ill. And an Iranian state that has nuclear weapons will stimulate an arms race in the Middle East. It will be the end of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. And if you have Iranian nukes, many of our allies are understandably going to want to have nukes as well because they don't trust Iran. They shouldn't trust Iran. And if there are nuclear weapons in the Middle East, I believe they'll be eventually used. And we'll look back on this moment and we'll regret that we negotiated from such a position of weakness.
You know, there's another deadline coming up 2.5 months from now, the end of June. I don't know if they'll hit that deadline. I don't know if it goes to July, August, or 6 months after that. But do you think the president is willing right now to sign something, whatever that is?
Unfortunately, the president regularly frames this debate as if there are only two choices. You're either for taking whatever deal the Ayatollah will grant to America, or you're for immediate war. That's silly. The obvious real choice is to have a third choice, which is you negotiate from a position of strength and you let the Iranians know that the U.S. has no intentions of allowing them to become a nuclear threshold state. If we did that, we'd have the potential of actually achieving the goals we've had for the last 36 years. Right now, sadly, it looks like the president is willing to accept a really terrible deal that just punts the can down the road to the next presidential situation post-2017. And whoever that president is going to have to take the adult actions and lead the American conversation on how we get to a world where Iran is not a nuclear power.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. Republican Senator from Nebraska Ben Sasse. Appreciate your time from Capitol Hill. Thank you, sir. We're watching Screen Left as well.